لكن تحديت الظروف وخضتها وحدي صبورا مستعينا بالصلاة. كم مرة عصف الأنين بداخلي، كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أسى محن تمر، وكم كرهت مصابها.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. ما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Afwan, forgive me, I was just reorganizing the script a bit. I just needed to make sure it's all in chronological order. أولا, Allah yubarik fikum to all of you that has tuned in to watch this particular video. I know my videos have been, a bit different of late, i.e. the Prophetic Creed, the recent scandal in America, which I am keeping an eye on, and needless to say, I am speaking to brothers behind the scenes to sort of clarify and get those involved to confirm or deny, because at the end of the day, accusations are made, the claimant has made a claim, and it's upon those who have potentially not honoured their title and committed to cordial relationships between their community that needs to be addressed. So rest assured, in the coming weeks we'll know more, and as I said, there will be some surprises in the near future. Now, Dawah boy, the money maker, the one that's going to give you the knowledge to become a high value man, okay? And let me add a disclaimer before I get into the video. This recent phenomenon of Dawah Man in relation to his brother's club, which he rebranded due to some heat. Obviously, he was in debt. Company entire, his brothers went in and found out that he was, not living the actual life. It's good hiring out rentals and whatnot, but that's a different story altogether. Over a year ago, I recorded a video just sort of touching on the insensitivity of his brother club. And he hasn't really rebranded as such, he just changed the title. But when I go into the video, you'll see this man is an utter fool. And the side kick that he has with him, Abu Bakr the Muppet, he's no different. They're taking young, impressionable youths for morons, taking their money. And in actual fact, like I mentioned before, he's just following on from Andrew Tate. This man is just a cheap version of Andrew Tate, and his brother's club is a cheap sort of version of Andrew Tate's Hustlers University. And then another brother is following on from Fresh and Fit podcast, because like I said before, it's all about following those who came before them to a certain extent. Andrew Tate was a Muslim at the time. Now, I'm going to go into this video just to show you how this man, even from his knowledge and how he uses texts and distorts them and manipulates them. I thought this brother's going to go and study, rectify himself, leave these, quick flash courses that he sells, whether it's a Shafi'i fiqh that he teaches, and other courses, knowledge, college or something like that, go and study, increase himself in ilm and come back. But yet, nothing has changed, with all due respect. Like the way he distorts text is just the same as it was before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ease you in gently, okay, and we're going to get into the crux of it. So let's listen to Dawah Man.
There's a spectrum in terms of your level of manhood.
100%.
You can be a more complete man, you can be a deficient man. You can have a man with some feminine traits, you can be a woman with some masculine traits.
The proof of that is that Allah Azza wa Jalla, when he described Maryam salamun alayha, who was a woman, he mentioned her in Surah Al-Anbiya amongst the prophets who were all men. Because she had characteristics that were praiseworthy, ones that generally are known amongst men. For example, Allah said in Surah Ali Imran, Ya Maryam qanuti li rabbiki wasjudi warraka'i ma'a raki'in. O Maryam, make sujood and ruku' with the ones who are doing ruku'. And ar-raki'in here is a masculine term. Raki'at would be the feminine term. Making ruku' with the men, i.e. not making ruku' like as in you're literally with the men doing ruku' in their presence in the rows, like you're free mixing stuff. Never. She was always away from the men. Does that make sense? But point being is that as in this is something that the men do. So you're with the men in that you do this action with them. You have perfected your ruku' and your sujood and your salah. So point being is that na'am, generally speaking, And there are many women that are better than men of today. Oh, 100%. In fact, there are women that are better than every man on earth today. There are women that are better than every man on earth today. But nonetheless, these are...
That's why it's important to mention, because there's a lot of people fitna and chaos and fasad that will use things like this to try and throw you off and make you think, raw. Something you might even question yourself. You're like, wow, you know what, they're right. They're not right. They're just being stupid. Anyway.
There you go. So you heard Dawah Man explain the verse in Surah Al Imran in connection to like the characteristics of men, like the khisal of men, which apparently Maryam alayhi salam had, and this verse was pointing towards that explanation. But didn't it sound like he put a fatha on the qaf after the sukoon? Didn't it sound like Ya Maryamu qanuti, right? Ya Maryamu qanuti.
Ya Maryamu qanuti. Ya Maryamu qanuti. Ya Maryamu qanuti.
Again, it sounded like that, but again, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it didn't sound right. Anyway, it wasn't clear. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, so what's he arguing? He's arguing that this is the characteristics of men, but Maryam alayhi salam possessed it. Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that at all. So where's the proof for this? We're going to go into two tafsirs, but the main argument is that it says raki'een instead of raki'at, okay? And this shows that, look, Maryam alayhi salam possessed these. Nothing to do with that. So let's go into the tafsir books and let's see. So Imam Baghawi under verse 43, under the end of the verse, ma'a raki'een, with those who bow, third person, masculine plural. Imam Baghawi explains it. وَلَمْ يَقُلْ مَعَ رَاكِعَاتٍ لِيَكُونَ عَمَّ وَأَشْمَلَ فَإِنَّهُ يَدْخُلُ فِيهِ الرِّجَالُ وَالنِّسَاءُ وَقِيلَ مَعْنَاهُ مَعَ مُصَلٍّ فِي الْجَمَاعَةِ. So to explain it, Imam Baghawi says that he did not say subhanahu wa ta'ala ma'a raki'at, which is the third person feminine plural, okay, raki'een, raki'at, because it's general and comprehensive, because it enters the men and the women. So it's got nothing to do with characteristics of Maryam alayhi salam, that she had some male characteristics, etc. What are you talking about? And it's also mentioned, waqila, it said, ma'nahu, its meaning, ma'a musallin fi jama'a, because it's with the musallin, but Maryam alayhi salam had a mihrab. As those who know the story, coming back to me now, those who know the story, this verse does not indicate, right, the characteristics of, or the khisal of any man. It enters the men and the women in this verse. Ma'a raki'een, it's inclusive. So you can't just pick an interpretation out your pocket because it suits, the way I'm selling my courses. You can't do that, mate. This is ridiculous. And you need to be pulled up for. So Imam Qurtubi under the verse, ma'a raki'een, he mentions qila. It is said, ma'nahu, افعلي كفعلهم وإن لم تصلي معهم وقيل المراد به صلاة الجماعة. So Imam Qurtubi mentions that it is said, the meaning is do as they do, even though you don't pray with them. So it's just do what the men do. Just pray like the men. Khalas. Even though you don't pray with them. So just do what they do. What's this characteristics? Maryam alayhi salam, was exclusive to her. وقيل, and it said المراد به صلاة الجماعة, that the intent is, or the meaning is, that is pray in congregation. Okay. So that's just one aspect of his ignorance. Like, once again, he's selling his course. You understand? He's a con man. He's just trying to make now it's £400. Before it was £300. So he's obviously with inflation, it's gone up. These guys are just money-making con artists. That's what they are. I work 5 days a week. I run my own channel. Alhamdulillah, I'm content. This high-value man is borrowing from Andrew Tate. And according to their definition, they're already insulted the companions of Badr. We're going to get to that. But when you talk about high-value man according to this definition of yours, many of the companions won't be high-value men according to you. And we're going to get to that. I'm going to go into your comments regarding the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Honestly, you're just a charlatan, mate. You and that sidekick of yours, that Mope, really need to give it a break. And I've been told around the grapevine as well that you've been advised numerous times, but you guys are just stubborn, arrogant, because it's all about the Benjamins, isn't it? Go to Dubai, relax. But like I said before, if you're going to purport this definition of yours that the high-value man is loads of wealth, being rich, because that's what you're trying to enforce, right? So let's go into your pitch for the Brothers Club, even though it's the Badr Club, because you got different courses, we're going to go into that. And you put the Brothers Club, take control of your life with these comprehensive courses, and of course, Allah's permission. 313 real men. Listen to this. Significantly improve your religion, finances, relationship, and physical and mental health. Learn more. Now, when you go into this, you find a video of you and the sidekick, Abu Bakr, when you recorded the Badr Club, and you're referring to the 330 men, be like them. Listen, the companions of Badr were not fighting for the luxuries of this world. They lost their lives. This is so insensitive. They didn't pursue the worldly gains. You're promoting this cause as if Islam encourages being entrepreneur. Of course, we want to be self-sustainable. And the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith, if you know about richness, what is true richness? Do you know the hadith? You don't. You don't, do you? You're a muppet. So let's go into your videos, please. As a disclaimer, it's very distasteful. It's going to probably make you puke. But the sidekick and him, it's all about the Benjamins, mate.
These men, they were the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the greatest of them were the 313 that stood and fought at the Battle of Badr.
They were outnumbered 3-1. And yet Allah still gave them victory on that day.
And now it's time for our brothers to join the Badr Club so that Allah can give them victory today. With all this talk about manhood and what it means to be a real man, we decided that the first workshop at the Badr Club is going to be called 313 Real Men. We'll talk inspiration from the companions at the Battle of Badr who were up against the odds, but yet still they were successful in what they wanted to achieve.
And we narrowed down 5 aspects that you need to become a real man. The first is your deen.
We call this one Operation Allegiance with Allah. Because before you go into any battle, the first thing you want to look at is who are your allies. If your ally is with you, then you're going to be in a good position. There's no ally that's greater than the King of Kings. Because if you've got him on your side, then any battle you'll be able to overcome.
And the second is your finances.
We call this one Operation 6 Figures. Because a man is supposed to spend. He spends on himself and his loved ones and his community. And you can't give what you don't have. So we realize that in this day and age, men need to work towards 6 figures in terms of an annual income. That may sound hard for some, but don't worry, we got the blueprint to show you how to get there, inshallah.
And the third is your relationships.
We call this one Operation Second Wife. It's okay if you don't even have one. We're going to show you how to get the first. And not just show you how to get the first, but we're going to give you a guide on how to attract a high-value woman. A type of woman that will be able to stand behind you and support you. Remember, behind every great man is a great woman. And behind every greater man are a greater amount of great women. And inshallah ta'ala, we're going to then teach you and show you how to work towards a second wife.
I really need to go into any commentary. Self-incriminating. So insensitive. Do you know the amount of du'as that the Prophet ﷺ was making before Badr? And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had to calm him down. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had to calm him down. To the point, and I'm paraphrasing, the Prophet ﷺ said, if these men perish, there will be no one on the earth to worship you. They sacrificed their life for Islam. They weren't worried about luxuries of this world that you're trying to promote. Following on from Andrew Tate, following on from this concept of high value man, which you're insulting the companions when we get into it. So let's go into the courses that you're selling as part of. So also talk money, the art of influence in high value sales. Talk money, start making more money from your existing business today using these proven sales techniques. And it's all to do with money making. And he doesn't even know that he's insulting the companions radiallahu anhum with this sort of concept of high value man, being rich and being, wealthy. Many of the companions radiallahu anhum, even from amongst the 10 that were guaranteed paradise, were not very wealthy. So were they not high value men? Anyway, the Umrah setup, how to perform successful and profitable Umrah company, and now the new one, the Player's Playbook. So again, old language used by the West. A player is what? Obviously without the haram. So what's a player? The definition of a player is the one that goes around and sleeps with endless women because this is honorific and this is what men aspire to do. Sleep with endless women. This makes you a high value man as well as the money. Get the sister of your dreams to want to marry you. And the Badr Club, £399. But if you go back, right, how much was it before? 313. Do you see? Because it was 313 men. Now it's gone up by 70 plus quid, right? But it was 330, now it's 399. You see, it's all money making. All these punks want to do is just loot your money and usurp your money. Now, let's go into another video of Dawah Man.
But it's that profound though. If that same brother was raised in a completely different environment, if he wasn't in the council estates, if he got raised by a wealthy family, put into a private school, well, he probably would have been a millionaire or a billionaire. Like, we know brothers that were millionaires off the drug trade. But it's like, that's because of the environment. Obviously, they're to blame. No, we're not taking away the blame from them. But look at the importance of putting yourself in the right environment. Look at the importance, as parents that are watching this, of making sure your children grow up in the right environment.
To just give you an example, right? Yesterday we were with the brother, right? Last night, the brothers, some of them, they took us out on their boat. We went to a private island. We took some of the Brothers
Private
Club
beach.
members. Yeah, we took some of the brothers from the Brothers Club, the Fursan elite members, mashallah, who are here with us in Dubai. And the particular brother we were with, mashallah, he's an investor with a $150 million investment pool. So that's not his net worth. That's not his net worth. It's a $150 million investment pool. Now, a lot of the people on Instagram and YouTube that people watch that are like, you know, I don't like the word guru, but like business gurus that everyone's looking up to, who have got like $70-80 million investment companies or net worth. 70-80 million is a lot, bro. This brother's double that in just terms of his pool of investment, not even his net worth. Just the amount of money he has to invest. I love it. So being with the brother, and by the way, practicing brother, healthy brother, fit brother, on his salah, right? I said to him, Akhi, being in the position that you are, Allah barik, you're rare. You're in the top probably 1% of people in terms of finances. Only that, you're practicing. And you don't compromise your deed. And you don't engage in riba and haram and all of these things. I said, from your perspective, what's one of the main reasons why we don't have more practicing brothers occupying seats like you and with levels of success like you? You know what he said? His answer was shocking, it was profound. He said, it's the mindset. We're told that poverty is virtuous.
Poverty is piety.
Now, you know why this is absolutely shocking and diabolical? Because Allah said to the Prophet in the Quran, وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. Muhammad, we made you rich.
Isn't that in terms of Iman?
So, there are different tafsir that the scholars they give. And there's a principle which is when the ayah in the Quran is general and many things can fall under it, it takes all of them, as long as it doesn't contradict another evidence. So now in terms of Iman, in terms of his wife Khadija, and also in terms of money, the Prophet was able to access 1/5 of the war booty. And not only that, he being the leader of the Muslims, was able to get a cut from that even before it was distributed. Okay? And he had the inheritance of Khadija radiallahu anha and his parents. And there's a book that's written on 10 different sources of income that the Prophet had. Of course, he was not buying equivalent of Rolexes and whatnot. He was obviously giving his money away. He lived for the sake of Allah, he lived for the akhirah. But actually, one of the ways that the akhirah is earned is through sadaqah, through money, through what you do with your money. Does that make sense? But point being is that the Prophet used to actually seek refuge in Allah from poverty. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-faqr. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from poverty.
Yeah, as Muslims, we're programmed to believe that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was poor.
That's
something that's even an insult to call the Prophet poor.
Of course it's an insult. Because the Yahud used poverty as an insult for Allah. They held it at Allah as an insult. لَقَدْ سَمِعَ اللَّهُ قَوْلَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ فَقِيرٌ وَنَحْنُ أَغْنِيَاءٌ. They said, Allah has heard the statement of the Yahud when they say that Allah is poor and we are rich. So it is an insult. It is an insult.
So you heard Dawah Man and his sidekick just spew some absolute nonsense and BS. Number one, they recounted the meeting that they had with some rich guy, and then they mentioned, before that they mentioned about a council house and if they were born in a rich family. Not everyone's got that luxury. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't destined for everyone to be born into a rich family. Look, you're acting as if the Prophet ﷺ was aspiring wealth and aspiring for the ummah to be rich, and poverty is not virtuous, and look, what are you talking about? So let's go into this, because at the end of the day, you heard what he said. I can't really remember most of it. So let's go into the show. As you can see on Sahih Muslim, this hadith is narrated by Abi Hurairah radhiallahu anhu. قال Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ليس الغنى عن كثرة العرض. That the richness is not what is in connection to lots of, goods. Okay? Meaning wealth, etc. But what is it? ولكن الغنى غنى النفس. That the richness is the richness of the soul. Okay, the richness of what? The richness of the soul. So, coming back to me now, okay? Now, it's quite clear that if someone had loads of wealth, like Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu had loads of wealth, I think it was Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah had loads of wealth, it's not a virtuous thing. But in your video or podcast, and the way you're directing your arguments and your evidences as if the Prophet ﷺ encouraged the ummah to be wealthy and prosperous. But what does the Prophet ﷺ say himself? And in other riwayats, where he says to Umar bin Khattab, what Aisha narrates, what was in the house of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ says richness, al-ghina, is not what? Loads of goods, like products to sell, meaning richness, right? The one who's got loads of sheep and camels at that time is the one that is prosperous because he can sell it and make money. Okay? But rather what? وَلَكِنَّ الْغِنَى غِنَى النَّفْسِ. The richness is the richness of the heart. So someone who's working, and not earning enough, in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is rich. Okay? Richness in iman, richness in tawakkul, richness in being having like contentment. Been reliant upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as you can see on screen, we've got hadith number 1479 for Sahih Muslim. I'll make it brief. That Umar bin Khattab visited the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. فَدَخَلْتُ عَلَى رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم, and he was lying on a mat. فَجَلَسْتُ فَأَدْنَى عَلَيْهِ إِزَارُهُ وَلَيْسَ عَلَيْهِ غَيْرُهُ. That I sat down and he got up and his lower garment was over him and he had nothing else. And the mat that he was lying upon left some marks on his sides rather. So I looked into the khizana, or the sort of storeroom of the Prophet ﷺ, and he had hardly anything, like barley equal to 1 sa'a and some leaves, etc. And then the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, "Ma yubkika ya Ibn Khattab? Why are you crying?" Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu responded by saying, "Qultu ya Nabi Allah, وما لي لا أبكي وهذه الحصير قد أثر في جنبك وهذه خزانتك لا أرى فيها إلا ما أرى وذاك قيصر وكسرى في الثمار وأنهار وأنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وصفوته وهذه خزانتك." فقال يا ابن الخطاب ألا ترضى أن تكون لنا الآخرة ولهم الدنيا. So when he started crying, Prophet ﷺ inquired to Umar ibn Khattab, "Why are you crying?" Umar ibn Khattab said, "Why should I not cry? Because this man has left some marks on your side, and all you have is a handful of stuff like barley and whatnot. And the Qaisar, meaning the Caesar, and the Kisra of Rome, the Kisra of Persia rather, they live like, with all sorts of luxuries. And you are the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam." Then the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "O Umar ibn Khattab, aren't you satisfied that for us is the hereafter and for them is the dunya?" And then Umar ibn Khattab said, "Qultu bala." Of course. Okay? Of course. So this is the house of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. There's another riwayah that Umar ibn Khattab said, "Ya Rasulullah, invoke your followers to be rich." There's another riwayah, okay, that mentions this. So, Dawah Man and your sidekick, why are you selling this false dream that like the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam encouraged the Muslims to be like prosperous and rich and live luxuries? No. So what I'm going to show you now is that there are narrations, on the other hand, to show you how the Prophet ﷺ was living. You're talking about like going on boats and luxuries and showing these Ferraris and these rented cars that you have. Behave yourself. So what did Ibn Majah put these ahadith under which chapter? Bab manzilatil fuqara, the station of the fuqara, the poor people. Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhu mentioned that fuqara al-muhajirin ila Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam ma faddalallahu bihi alayhim aghniya'uhum, that the muhajirin came to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam complaining that Allah has favored people that are rich over them. So what did the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said? Ya ma'ashar al-fuqara ala ubashirukum anna fuqara al-mu'minin يدخلون الجنة قبل أغنيائهم بالنصف يوم 500 عام. ثم تلا موسى بن عبيد الله هذه الآيات وإن يوما عند ربك كألف سنة مما تعدون. Okay, and then recite that verse. This is narrated by Aisha رضي الله عنها قالت كان يأتي علينا الشهر ما نوقد فيه نار إنما هو التمر والماء. That Aisha رضي الله عنها said a month will pass, a full month will pass during that we would not make a fire, light a fire for cooking. Our food for the month used to be dates and water unless we were given some meat. But you said the Prophet ﷺ had rich and he gave this much and this. What are you talking about? As you can see on Sahih Bukhari, and this is narrated by Anas radhiallahu anhu. What did he mention? ما علمت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أكل على سقورجة قط. That he did not know that to the best of his knowledge, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم ever partaken in a big meal with a big tray like you see in Saudi Arabia. Nor did he eat any like thin bread, meaning baked thin bread. Nor did he eat at a dining table. This is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You're talking about luxuries, you're eating with steaks and whatnot. What dream are you selling to the people? Okay? Even according to your standard, you're talking about high value man and whatnot. Okay? And poor and this and that. As you can see on screen, that this is Sahih Bukhari also, that Asma bint Abi Bakr radhiallahu anha mentioned that when Zubair married her, he had no property and no slave and nothing else except a camel that he withdrew water from. Okay? And she used to go and feed the horse, etc. These are poor they were. And at the end of the hadith goes that because they were struggling, that Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu gave some servants. And what did she say? She said as if she was freed from slavery. But so Zubair bin Awam wasn't a high value man according to you because he didn't have wealth, he wasn't making much money. You know, what were you talking about, mate? What are you talking about? This video has shown how Dawah Man and his sidekick Abu Bakr the Muppet, following on from Andrew Tate's Hustlers University, the insensitivity, the lack of regard for quote Islamic texts and sources, the manipulations, it's embarrassing and it's absolutely disgusting. I can't be more clearer than that. When are you going to stop trying to misguide and take? We will not allow you to sell your bogus courses and fool gullible Muslims. I work 5 days a week, I'm proud. With your statements and your rhetoric, this high value man, you're only following on from Andrew Tate. And as I've proved, you've indirectly insulted the Sahaba radhiyallahu anhum. Because according to your definition, they won't be high value men. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to expose you, Dawah Man, and your psychic Muppet for misrepresentation of the text once again, and in order to benefit monetarily. As I said before, you're not going to get away with it. That's your modus operandi. Money, finances, richness, and all following on from Andrew Tate's Hustlers University. High value man, and ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So take care of yourselves. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad.
إن الغريب له حق لغربته على المقيمين في الأوطان والسكن سفر بعيد وزاد لن يبلغني وقوتي ضعفت والموت يطلبني ما أحلم الله عني حيث أمهلني وقد تماديت في ذنبي ويسترني تمر ساعة